We're dinking around with Addy and Webby. Dinking around with Addy and Webby tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Sure feels good to be the Addy versus Webby champion. Oh, hey, how's it going? This is Addy, not Webby.
And I'm Webby, and this is our 84th Dinking Around. Oh, yeah. And as you noticed, I have a different co-host today. Unfortunately, Eddie will not be able to join us for the final episode of 2024, but I've got the next best thing. I've got my daughter, Addison, joining me here tonight. How's it going?
Pretty good.
This is going to be a lot of fun. It's been over a year since Addison joined me for an episode of the podcast, and we had a lot of fun doing it last year, and we got a lot of great feedback, so we wanted to do it again, and can't think of a better time to do it than our final episode of the year. Our podcast format has changed a little bit since the last time that you co-hosted with me. I do want to say this episode would not be possible if it wasn't for our good friends over at Volair Pickleball. Eddie and I have been using Volair paddles for a long time, long before we formed a partnership with them. We are big fans of their paddles. In fact, I had Addison try one of my paddles earlier this year, and she liked it a lot, so she's been playing with Volair paddles. What are your thoughts on the paddles that you've tried from Volair so far?
I definitely like the Volair paddles. I started with the Mach 1 Forza, and then I eventually moved on to the Mach 2 Forza, and I definitely noticed a change in my play for the better. I was getting a lot more shots over the net, a lot more control over my shots. I liked the wide body shape more for my style of play, and I definitely like the paddles and will continue to use them.
Nice. If you guys want to try out Volair paddles, go to their website and use coupon code PB for life, and that's going to get you 10% off your order, and it's going to show us some support in the process, which we are always very appreciative of. But Addison, I have a question for you.
What in the world is in that drink? What you got in that drink?
Today to drink, I have some strawberry mango sparkling water. It's the Good and Gather brand. I think it's just from Target.
Nice. And since Addison is quite a few years away from being able to drink alcohol, I thought it was not appropriate for me to drink alcohol. So what I will be drinking tonight is a bottle of water with some fruit punch Electrolyte Supreme from our friends at Jigsaw Health poured into the bottle and mixed up real good. So I am going to be nice and hydrated by the end of the episode. Cheers.
I got my pink Addy and Webby koozie for my can. It's special edition from the Beer City Open earlier this year, which we'll be talking about later in the episode.
Nice. So now that we have both wet our palates and we are nice and hydrated, I think it's time.
Now it's time for Memes of the Week. Yeah!
That's right, Pickleball Podcasting's hottest segment, Memes of the Week. This is where Addy and I always like to show off some of our favorite and funny videos that we found from across the internet about pickleball. So, Addison, I think we will start with you. This is a new segment that we started doing after the last time that you hosted the podcast with me. So, were you able to find any funny pickleball-related videos?
I did find one that stuck out to me in particular. It's an Instagram reel by Austin Schultz. It's called How Fast Dudes Become Duos for Life.
Nice serve. You got a partner? Well, that's our Dunkin' Chud. Bubba Chud. Pleasure. An honor. Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's me. Baby! That's my yeah! Yeah! Put him in a call. Yeah! Yeah! Come on! Easy! Oh, easy, boy! Come on! Oh, that's me. Yeah! Yeah, come to Papa. Come to Papa.
That was good stuff. Good find. We've never featured anything from that social media account before, so I always love featuring different accounts that we haven't seen before. The video that I found, it was a collaboration featuring Volair Pickleball and Pickleball-holic, and this is called Showing My Wife What I Want for Christmas.
No. No.
Oh, man. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. I can definitely relate to that baby. There's always paddles that I want to try buying, and my wife is usually okay with it, but sometimes I feel like I try to buy too many, and that's pretty much the same scenario that happens with me. So what do you think of this newer Memes of the Week segment we've been doing?
I like it. I think that it's good to add a little comedic segment to it. It's also good to show off other pickleball creators that are out there, and it gives them shout outs and also shows just how big the world of pickleball has become and how big it is on things like social media nowadays.
Oh, for sure. And it's just getting more and more popular, and I love how creative people are getting with the funny videos out there. So everybody just keep them coming, and we'll keep this segment coming every week. It's one of my favorite parts of the show. So thank you, everybody out there, and thanks for everybody tuning in. If you guys have any suggestions of people that do funny videos or do pickleball memes, let us know in the comments down below. We'll gladly feature them on a future episode. But also, speaking of content creation in the world of pickleball, a buddy of mine that I play pickleball with, he actually wrote a pickleball book that just recently came out. And this is called Everything I Need to Know I Learned Playing Pickleball, Stories from the Court, Lessons from the Sport. And this is by Rick Broida. I met Rick probably over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and he and I have played against each other in some singles tournaments, and he has absolutely destroyed me both times that I played against him in a singles pickleball tournament. But it's just really cool how creative people are getting out there, whether it be pickleball memes or writing books about pickleball. It's just really cool, all the content that is out there now, and it's really cool that somebody that I know personally published a book. So stuff like this could be a good gift or stocking stuffer this holiday season. But actually, looks like it's about time.
Now it's time for Topics of the Week.
That's right, Topics of the Week. And since this is the final episode of the year, and since Addy here is co-hosting along with me, I thought this would be a great episode to kind of look back at this past year and talk about the tournament experiences that we have had together and do a little recap of each one. And some really cool and fun things happened this year. Addison and I had a chance to practice together a little bit more consistently this year than we did last year. And that was thanks to Wolverine Pickleball. They had a 3.25 plus partner play session on Tuesday nights that we were doing pretty consistently in the evenings on Tuesdays. That was super fun, great group. Basically, you go there with a designated partner, and for 2 hours straight, you play against all the other teams in the group. And the skill level was anybody 3.25 and above, so it could be people that are close to 3.75, but just as long as you were at least a 3.25, you could do this group. And how did you think that went?
I think it was definitely beneficial to our season, and it definitely gave us some competitive play weekly. So you still got to have a little bit more fun with it while getting that competitive practice in. And I do like that it was 3.25 plus because that left the door open for even higher level play. And it was definitely up and down each week. There were weeks where we would go undefeated and then weeks where we'd only win 1 or 2 games. And it just shows how competitive it was and how it really is like tournaments, because sometimes you do really good and then the next time you could lose them all.
And it was co-ed too, so we could be playing against 2 women. We could be playing against 2 men. There were a lot of mixed doubles teams like we were. And it was just super, super fun. A great way for us to get practice together. And just like Addison said, it was very competitive, but also fun at the same time. So I absolutely loved doing that session with Addison to get ready for these tournaments.
And there was even times, too, where if there was a team that we knew was higher level, we'd go in and say, we're preparing for a tournament. So, like, give us your all. Play as hard as you can. So that way we can be fully prepared for the hardest teams that will come, best of the best in tournaments. And they were not holding back at all on us. They were giving us their all. And that's what we needed, and that really helped for us to get that hard competitive play for tournaments. And it was just such a good experience to have players like that were willing to go full force at us and everything to help us to prepare.
Yeah, for sure. I couldn't agree more. And like you said, it was a good thing that we pointed out to people that we were preparing for a tournament, because I do think, especially if we were playing against 2 men, I feel like by default, they just see that I'm playing with my daughter and they're like, oh, that's so cute, you're playing with your daughter, and then they take it easy on us and stuff like that. But when they know that we're doing a tournament, that puts them into overdrive and they know, okay, we better really not hold back, give them some good experience going into the tournament. That was super, super beneficial. So that was great. But that brings us to our first tournament we did together this year, and this was an awesome one. This was the JoJo and Low Pickleball Open, and I've got to tell you, that was one of the most fun tournament experiences I've had so far. And what made this one so unique is the division that we signed up for. It was 3.5, but it was a special parent/child or grandparent/grandchild division, meaning every team had to be a parent and child combo or a grandparent and grandchild combo. And I had never heard of that before. And that it just seemed like such a great idea. And I thought that was such a cool way for us to get into this tournament season. What were your thoughts about that going into it?
I think part of me was a little split with how I thought that it was going to go, because I thought that you might have teams where it's like father-daughter and it's like the daughter's 6 or 7 or something. I was worried that we'd get something like that and then we'd have to like be taking it easy or something. Or if there's some like grandma and granddaughter duo or something, then you'd have to like be a little more gentle because you don't want to like, you want to take it easy on the older and then the younger and things like that.
Right.
Or you might be up against a father and a son that's like super tough against like a father-daughter team. But something good that they had was they had a non-competitive division and they had the competitive division. So more of the people that I thought might be a little easier to beat, they had their whole own division going on. And I think they were saying that division was just more of the like for fun division.
Yeah.
Because it was a family thing. So obviously family event, it's more of like a lighthearted, like fun time. But then on the other half of the courts, because there was 2 sides, and then over here they had the more competitive play. And I definitely think that it was evenly matched. There was a lot of really tough teams. I think it was one of those cases where the people that were in the competitive side, they wanted to be in the competitive side, and they were ready to give it their all. I think that they were all very close matches, and that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. We signed up for the competitive division, and it was definitely a competitive group of teams. Like, they were very, very tough, and it was super, super fun. And it was cool to see the different types of teams out there, too. There were some mothers and daughters. There were grandparents with their grandkids. We had our father-daughter combo.
Something that I thought was interesting, too, in the matchups for play was that JoJo from JoJo and Lo was actually competing in the tournament with us, with her dad. So I thought that was really cool, that like getting to run your own tournament, supporting your small business, and also being able to compete in it with your father. Like, that just seems like a really cool experience to me.
Yeah, that was awesome. And they were a very, very tough team. In fact, they were the only team that beat us that day because we were playing very, very well. We ended with a record of 6-1. And yeah, JoJo and her father, super, super tough. That was a close game. I think they only beat us by like 2 points too. Like, that game just kept going back and forth. Very hard fought, but they beat us. So like I said, we ended up with a record of 6-1, which is great. How did it work out for us?
So this was one of those crazy scenarios where there was a 3-way tie for first place. So after that, it goes down to who beat who in the top 3. And that did not work out either because JoJo's team beat our team, we beat another team, and that other team beat JoJo's team. So then the third thing that they go on to now is point differential. And that, unfortunately, did not work out too well for us. We ended up getting 3rd place, and I'm still a little sour to this day about that tournament because the team that got first happened to be the team that we beat. So it's just crazy how it comes down to that sometimes.
Yeah, that's the frustrating part when it comes to round-robin tournaments because crazy stuff like that can happen, and all of our matches were super, super close. Like, a big majority of them were decided by 2 points, so that shows how close they were. However, even though those are great matches and great outcomes when you win those, when it comes to point differential, that's not good. So,
that's always the risk you take doing a round-robin tournament because that's usually how they will turn out. I feel like every round-robin tournament that I've done, it ends with the person who's telling us who won saying there was actually a tie, so we had to go to point differential. So there's always something like that. That's always the risk you take with a round-robin tournament. But in my eyes, I still like to think that we got first place. And that's what I tell everyone every time they ask. I'll say, we got first place, but then this happened. So I still like to think that that was like one of our best tournaments this year. We definitely fought hard for that, and we were still on the podium. We were still in the top 3, and we still had a 3-way tie for first place.
Yeah, I agree. That was definitely one of my favorite tournaments we have ever done together. The outcome was great. The competition was great. And just everything about it was just super, super fun and chill while also being super competitive at the same time. And technically, we did get gold medals. It's just they were rose gold. That's what a lot of people call bronze medals, is rose gold medals. But yeah, it does kind of hurt when you beat the team that wins gold and you end up with bronze. It's crazy how that works out. But oh well, what are you going to do? It was super, super fun. Another fun fact about that tournament, though, is we actually played against Mark D'Antonio's wife and daughter. And for those unaware, Mark D'Antonio, he is the former football coach for Michigan State University. He was a very, very successful coach for the team. And that was very cool because he was actually there watching and cheering on his wife and daughter, and we played against them. That was another very close match. I think it was only determined by like 2 or 3 points. We just barely beat them. That was a back and forth match. And not going to lie, I was a little nervous knowing that Mark D'Antonio was like right there, right next to us, watching us play this game.
That was one of those crazy matches, too, where I think the score was like 15-13. And the crowd, we had a crowd watching us by the end. Because it was one of those things where you wait for all the teams to finish before the next round can happen. So everyone was just kind of watching our match going on. So there was definitely like a lot of crowd interaction going on. And knowing that he was sitting right there at the sidelines, like cheering against us and everything.
Right.
It was just a little nerve-wracking, but I think that also helped like drive us to do better. And yeah, that match was crazy.
Yeah, that was wild. Super, super fun. Another reason why that was one of my all-time favorite tournaments that we've done together.
I think that was actually our last match of the tournament too, so that was kind of like the gold medal match, because if we didn't win that match, we wouldn't have been in the 3-way tie for first.
Yep.
So it was kind of also like everyone was done with their games, so they were watching, waiting for us so we could see who made the medal stand. Yeah,
we knew that was a must-win match for us, so all the pressure was on, had a big crowd, so everything about it was just very unforgettable. So super, super cool moment. That whole tournament was such a blast. So thanks again, JoJo and Lo, for doing that. I hope that you do more of those in the future that we're able to do. That brings us to the second tournament that we did this summer, and this was the second annual West Michigan Paddle Battle. Last year, we did the intermediate competitive division, and we actually won the whole thing. So this year, we decided to challenge ourselves and sign up for the advanced division. And how did that one go?
That one, unfortunately, did not go as well as the JoJo and Lo one.
Yeah.
I think that starting off with the bang and the JoJo and Lo, I think we were kind of like riding high on that one.
Yeah.
We were going into it very like confident, and I think it just slowly started to go down throughout the day. But we did make it to the playoffs round. I think we made it to the second round of playoffs.
Yep.
So that was definitely good. We didn't have a bad tournament. We definitely still played well. We just could have played better, and we did play better at the JoJo and Lo one.
Yeah, so we made it into the playoffs. We won the first game of the playoffs, which was a very intense battle. Then we got into the second round, and unfortunately that is where we got eliminated. And the end result is that we were in fourth place out of 7 teams that were in our pool. There were 2 different pools in this division, and it ended up to where gold and silver went to people that were in our pool, so that just shows how tough the pool that we were in was, and the bronze medal went to somebody that was in the other pool. But yeah, I'm very happy with getting 4th place out of 7 in the advanced division. But the next event was not a tournament that we did together, but a very, very cool event, and that was Addison's first ever time going to the Beer City Open. What did you think of that?
I thought that it was a really cool experience. I'm glad that I finally got to go. I've been wanting to go for the last few years, but scheduling hasn't worked out for me to be able to go. I didn't play in it, but I definitely want to play in it next year after getting to watch it. But I loved getting to watch all the pros play and also getting to watch you play for a little bit. I do have to say, I have to give props to everyone that competed in that, because that was one of the hottest days that I've ever experienced in my life. I have a picture of me from it. My face is just beet red. it was just a lot. I remember they were handing out little fans for the people in the audience. Another thing that was really cool when I was there was that was the first time I got recognized out in the wild. Somebody said that they liked watching me and my dad play pickleball on YouTube and that they were fans. That was definitely really cool. My first fan encounter.
Nice. But yeah, and one really cool thing about this year's Beer City Open was there was a full-blown Major League Pickleball event, and that was one of the things that Addison was able to watch was some of the Major League Pickleball matches, so that was super, super cool. So yeah, it was awesome that you were able to experience that finally. Like she said, she didn't play in this year's, but hopefully next year it'll work out for her to play. And another thing that happened during that same trip is we did the first ever Addy versus Webby championship match. I'm sure most of you know, Addy and I do the Addy versus Webby championship matches. In fact, I am the current holder of the Addy versus Webby championship belt. I'm very proud of that. I'm going to keep that in my possession as long as I possibly can. And Addison's been wanting to do something similar, so we came up with the Addy versus Webby championship trophy. It is a nice gold trophy with a golden pickleball on top of it. Very, very fancy. So we did our first ever episode of Addy versus Webby, where we competed for that trophy, and it happened at a very cool venue. It was rooftop pickleball at the Amway Grand Plaza in Grand Rapids, and that place was super, super cool. And if you guys haven't watched it yet, you can look for Addy versus Webby, the video, on our YouTube channel. We had the drone going, so we had a nice aerial view of us playing the entire time. Do you want to talk about the outcome of that match?
So we did a best 2 out of 3 match, singles against each other, but it was skinny singles. I won the first one, then he won the second one, and then I ended up coming out victorious in the last match, winning the Addy versus Webby championship.
I almost had her. I was this close.
Well, I got pickled the second game. I like to think it was strategy, trying to get the ego high, trying to get in your head.
Yeah, I feel like the first match was pretty close, and then, I destroyed her in the second one, but the third match, I just couldn't get anything going. I was struggling with the wind. It was very windy up there that day. Apparently, she was able to adjust to it. I was struggling big time. I was actually pretty cocky going into it, too, because I had played singles and got my first ever Beer City Open victory. I didn't win the tournament, but I got my first win, which was a huge victory for me in and of itself, just getting a single match win during a singles tournament at the Beer City Open. So I was feeling really confident, and I was even trying to talk her into doing full court versus half court to where she could hit on the whole entire court on my side, but I could only hit on the side that she was on when it got served. But she was not having it. She did not want any type of advantage whatsoever, so we did a regular skinny singles across the board, and she caught me off guard and ended up beating me. I was not expecting that to happen.
I'm definitely someone who likes fair play. I don't want to win because it was half court versus full court or something. I want to win and be able to feel solid about the victory that I earned it. And also, we had dinner with Eddie later that night, and we were talking about the match, and he brought up a good point, saying that since I beat Webby, I should technically be the holder of the Addy versus Webby championship because he's the holder of the belt. And Eddie thought that was a good idea, and he said maybe if he doesn't agree to it, that I can play a match on Eddie's behalf for the belt. So maybe that could be something interesting in the future. Maybe I could even be Eddie's doubles partner for a match for the belt.
Eddie is just salty that I beat him. He just cannot stand the fact that he doesn't have this belt in his possession anymore, so he's trying to think of any excuses to strip me of the belt, but not happening, my friend. You are not going to have this belt around your waist or in your office for a very long time. I will be sure of it. But yeah, congratulations on your victory of the Addy versus Webby Championship Trophy. That was the first episode ever. We're going to have to do another one sometime soon. I got to try to redeem myself. So the way Addy and I normally do it is whoever lost, they get to pick the stipulation for the match. So maybe I'll do full court versus half court where I get to hit full court and you have to do half court. But no, I wouldn't do that. I'm the same as you. I like to make it fair both ways. Unless I'm playing against a pro, then I need some type of advantage, so I'll make them play with a 5 below paddle or something. That actually could be fun if we each play with a 5 below paddle. That could be unique. Maybe we could do something like that. But yeah, that was super fun. That was the Beer City Open trip and experience for us. But that brings us to the next tournament that we did, and we actually thought this was going to be the last tournament we were going to do together this year, and this was the MAC Championships at the Michigan Athletic Club in East Lansing, Michigan. But since we were expecting this to be the final tournament of the year for us, we wanted to go out with a bang and really test our skills. So this was a sanctioned tournament, and we signed up for 3.5 mixed. And how did that one end up going for us?
That one was pretty mixed, but we knew that it was going to be like that going in with the skill levels and being a more advanced tournament. We ended up going 2-4, but I remember our best match of the day was our very first match. That one was crazy, back and forth. It was against this young couple, and they were so good. I think they both had just won gold medals in singles the day before. At least the girl had. I don't remember about the guy. But I know that they were saying how she had just won gold and it was her first tournament and she had won singles the day before. So it was definitely a very tough team. I thought we had them. That one was so close.
Yeah.
That was one of those matches where I didn't even feel bad after that match. Like, it was so good and so back and forth the whole time. Definitely positive energy on the court during that one. It wasn't like, sometimes you have those tournament matches where it's so competitive and like people get a little hateful out there sometimes, but it was definitely one of those where we were like supporting each other, like, oh, nice shot, that was a good one. Like, it was things like that. And that was just a really good match. Like, you couldn't even be mad at that one because it was so close. I think it was another one of those like 13-11 or something like that. That was a very good match.
And I was feeling pretty confident going into the rest of the games after that because they were such good players and we gave them a good run for their money. But yeah, unfortunately, we just couldn't get things going in our favor too much that tournament.
Yeah, I was starting to feel a little bit cursed after last year's last tournament of the year. We didn't have very good circumstances last year for our last tournament. Didn't even get home from the night before until like 2 a.m. because it was SummerSlam that we were at. And then we had to get up at like 5 the next morning to go to the tournament. That was like 2 hours away. And I think I was also having pretty bad knee problems during that time. So it was just everything on top of each other. And I don't even think we won one match last year for our last tournament.
Yeah.
So this year, then going only 2-4, it was starting to feel like a little bit of a curse. Like we started so strong this season and then we had to go out with that. Like it just felt a little like unfinished, if you will.
Yeah, it was definitely a bummer because we started so strong. I was really hoping to end strong, but unfortunately it was not our best outing.
Yeah, that was until about a week later we got notified that a Lifetime Fitness in our area was hosting a pickleball tournament.
That's right. We thought we were done for the year, and we learned about this tournament, and it happened to be on a weekend that we were both available, which was pretty rare outside of the other tournaments that we already had on our schedule. So we decided, what the heck, let's do one more tournament. So we signed up for 3.5 mixed, and unfortunately, they didn't get enough people to fill up our division. So they asked us if we would want to do 3.0 plus. And our first reaction was no thanks. We don't want to do a tournament with a bunch of 3.0 teams because we've been doing 3.5 tournaments. We are competitive at the 3.5 level. It just did not sound like something we were interested in, so we did not think we were actually going to do the tournament.
And I remember, too, part of it was I already had a work shift scheduled that day, so I would have had to get that shift covered, and it was just like super last minute. It wasn't really looking too good for it. It seemed kind of like maybe we shouldn't do it.
Yeah, so we just decided, okay, we're not going to be doing this tournament. But then I got contacted by the tournament director, and they told me that it was basically an open division. It wasn't just like a 3.0 division that they wanted to see if we wanted to sign up for. It was 3.0 plus, meaning any skill level above 3.0. So they basically contacted everybody that was signed up for all of the mixed doubles divisions and said, if you want to do the tournament, you can still do it. It's going to be a 3.0 plus. So that piqued my interest, but I told the tournament director, if it's mostly 3.0 teams doing it, we still don't want to do it because we want to be able to challenge ourselves and don't want an easy victory, don't want to look like sandbaggers and stuff like that. And she assured me that there were other teams that were our skill level. In fact, there were some players that had a 4.0 duper rating in this division. So I was like, okay, there are some really solid players in this group. Let's go ahead and do it. So we did decide to go through with it. Luckily, Addison was able to get out of her work shift because that was another issue that came up because we didn't think we were going to do it. So then she thought she was going to need to work. And luckily, it worked out for us to do it. And how did that tournament go?
That was definitely the tournament that broke that curse of the last tournament of the year.
Yes.
This technically was our best tournament of the season because we went undefeated and we got gold in the tournament.
Oh, yeah. And it was a good group, too. Like, a majority of the games were decided by only 2 or 3 points. In fact, there were 2 of the games I didn't think we were going to win. We had to make comebacks to win because they took big leads, and luckily, we were able to come back and win those. But yeah, I am very, very proud of that gold medal, and I can't think of a better way to end a really good season of playing together.
Yeah, this was definitely that big grand finale ending we've been waiting for. We definitely went out with a bang with this one. It was very exciting to finally get that gold medal, not the rose gold medal. We were kind of going in with that mindset of whatever happens, happens, just because of how last minute everything was. And I think maybe that's what helped us to do so well, was because we didn't have any pressure on it. It was just kind of something that was happening. But that was very exciting and unexpected to come out with gold for that tournament. That was definitely not what we were expecting to happen. And it just kind of showed our development from the beginning of the season to now, showing how much we've grown to where we can be on top, winning gold in the tournament, beating the higher level players. And it was just kind of a good full circle moment to end the season.
Yeah, and I love the fact that we started the season winning bronze, and then we ended the season winning gold together. Just such a cool feeling. Very proud father moment. It's really cool, the fact that I'm able to play with my daughter and do tournaments like this. So very, very cool. I can't think of any other sports where this kind of thing can happen, where we can play competitively together against other really competitive players. But I'm loving it. Super, super cool. But yeah, that is the end of our tournament season this year. Hopefully we get a chance to play a lot more next year. And that actually makes me think of some of the YouTube comments that I read earlier this year. When you went back to school and you were working and stuff and we were really busy and you weren't able to play pickleball tournaments as much, we had a lot of comments from people. Pretty much every video I was posting, they were like, "Where's your daughter? Why don't you play with your daughter anymore? Your daughter really wants to play with you more. You should start playing with your daughter more." And people were making it seem like it was my decision not to play with you anymore, but can you please clear the air that is not the case?
Yeah, in the winter time, I usually get pretty busy with, it's like I go into hibernation. In the winter time, I usually get really busy with sports and school and theater and work also on top of it. And yeah, I usually just get pretty busy in the school year, and then so we have to take a little break in the winter time, and then when it starts up spring again, when I get out of school, that's when my schedule opens right up, and that's when we start practicing again for the summer.
That's right. So if you notice that I play with different female partners in mixed doubles tournaments throughout the winter and the early part of the spring, that's why. It's mainly because she's not available. I would love to play with her more if I had the chance. In fact, the only time I have won a medal in the past 2 years are when I've done tournaments with her, so she's obviously the one that carries me to victory. Hopefully I can change that in 2025 to where I don't have to rely on Addison to be able to win a medal. But no, super, super fun times. This was a great season, a great year of pickleball tournaments, and I thought this was a super fun episode. I'm glad it worked out for us to do the final episode of the year together. But before we go, I do want to give a special shout out and thank you to the fine folks at Jigsaw Health. They make great products, and I am a big fan of the Electrolyte Supreme and the Pickleball Cocktail. They help me stay hydrated when I play pickleball. Even when I'm not playing pickleball, I like to drink those to stay hydrated, and makes me feel good. And as they always say, it's fun to feel good. And if you guys go to the Jigsaw Health website and place an order and use our coupon code PB4Life10, you're going to get yourselves 10% off your order, and it's going to show us some support in the process, which we are always very grateful for. So thanks again, Jigsaw Health. But I thought this was a great episode. Thanks again for joining us on this one.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was definitely a very fun episode, but I don't think we can end until we hear your
Closing thoughts.
So what did we learn today? Well, we learned that thanks to pickleball, you might be able to find your best friend for life. We also learned that even though we may want all of the paddles for Christmas, sometimes it just doesn't work out. And we learned that thanks to pickleball, even fathers and daughters can team up and have some good competitive fun and maybe even make your way onto the medal stand. Oh yeah. Thanks again, Addison, for joining us tonight. That was a lot of fun. And thanks to all of you for tuning in. I hope you guys like the new format of Dinking Around. I know it's not new now, but for the past year, we were kind of tweaking the format a bit. But Eddie and I are both big fans of how it is now. It's just super, super fun the way that we're doing it. Hopefully, you all have as much fun listening and tuning in as we have making it. We are going to plan on doing it for as long as we possibly can. But we can't do it without your support, so we thank you all very, very much. But that's going to do it for us here today.
And on that note, I'm Addy.
And until next time, this is Webby, not Addy, signing off.
Sir.
Well, we're dinking around with Addy and Webby. Dinking around with Addy and Webby tonight.
Oh, yeah.